The running joke between YouTube creators like me who are in the interview and negotiation coaching space is that nobody watches our videos on LinkedIn. But here's the thing, that's how I got my job at Google. I had an updated LinkedIn profile. When I started recruiting software engineers, I added that to my LinkedIn profile and I got a call or a reach out from Google within 3 months of adding that to my profile. So I just cannot restate the criticality enough of having a great up to date LinkedIn profile. So I wanted to use Loom today, do a little bit of a different way of showing my LinkedIn profile, but we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about every single thing related to this profile, totally unscripted. This is in my wheelhouse. I think anybody who's watching this video knows I spend a ton of time on LinkedIn. So let's dive through each section. So this top section, this is your LinkedIn background photo. Now, what you're trying to do with your LinkedIn background photo is you're trying to tell a story. What is that story? Are you an entrepreneur like me offering services? Are you somebody who just works for a company and you really want to brand that company? Do you have more of an approach where you've been laid off and you want to be a program manager? How do you create a photo that looks very program management based? And by the way, if you've been laid off, no reason why you can't go ahead and create some sort of LinkedIn background photo in Canva to say, hey, I've been laid off. Here are my skills. Why not? It's going to be the first item that somebody sees when they land on your LinkedIn profile. Some people might not agree to that approach, but hey, I want to know what's going on in your world. And if I see that when I first land on your profile, maybe I'm going to dig deeper. Maybe I'm a recruiter looking to hire somebody exactly like you. So what you see that I've done up here in my picture is I've put all my services. We don't need to go through all of that. But why does this look weird? Why does it look so condensed? Because LinkedIn on their desktop does not adjust for mobile. So this is optimized for desktop and mobile. And for that reason, I had to squeeze it. It doesn't look ideal, but this way, if you go on either one, this little circle of my head isn't going to show up and wreck the text. And that is a common mistake that I see with people's background LinkedIn photo, is that their head is getting in the way, and that appears to your audience as very, very lazy because you haven't taken the time and effort to just clean that up. It's a very simple item, but very important. One quick note, I'm in the top 1%. So what that means is I am going to be critical and look at everything. Secondarily, I have your face here. I don't need to see your face twice. There's plenty of people who I know who have their face here and in their LinkedIn background photo. I don't recommend it. One face is enough, just personal opinion. Then we get to this background image. I'm going to click there. It looks a little different, right? Because I'm showing it to you in this way, and so it's going to show the editing features. But what did I do? I focused in on just a few critical items. Shoulders and above, that's number one. Number two is that you're smiling. And number three is a clean background. My background is not going to distract you. There's a little bit of a background there. It's a professional headshot, but I didn't want to clean out the background either. I wanted to give a little bit of depth there. So shoulders and above, always smiling, always, and make sure you have a clean background. So as we move in to this section, this is our headline. So what I did here was I instantly added a couple of critical items. One, if you have a middle initial, I strongly recommend you include it. Why? Because you'll instantly know when people are spamming you on LinkedIn, because people will send messages to me all the time and they'll say, Jeff H. Nobody would refer to me as Jeff H in the real world, so I know it's spam. And I know, again, they've taken a lazy approach. They don't know how to market to me. And so I completely ignore it. So I love putting your middle initial in there. Also, you can see I also included a comma and what I did. So let's say your name is Sue Smith. You could be Sue Smith, comma, product manager, for example. So it calls it out right there. And then you can spend more of your headline in here talking a little bit more about what you do. And that's exactly what I did. Now, if you go to the mobile LinkedIn app, You can also add a pronunciation of your name if your name is tricky. For me, it's up to 10 seconds. So if somebody clicks on that link, they're going to hear a little bit more about my services. So that's a great little tool, but they only have that feature on mobile. One other feature that you can add, or a few other features you can add, is they actually have a video feature here too. So if somebody clicked on your face, it could go to a short video. I've opted not to do that, but you can definitely put banners, like anybody who's been impacted by layoffs or is just in general open to work. You can add an open to work banner as well. That can be really impactful to let people know that you're actually searching for work. Then you can see right here, this instantly links to my organization and my college. You really want to make sure that those two are up to date right at the top so people can click on them. A newer feature right here is this. So anybody who wants to drive anybody anywhere should add a link here. Obviously, I'm pushing people towards my website, but this is a great new addition, and it's pretty new. I can't tell you how new, but we're in March of 2023. It's pretty new. Then you're just going to see your followers and connections here. Of course, I strongly recommend building your network. I do connect with people that I don't know, but I definitely look at their professional background and I'll make an assessment from there. So if you're somebody like me providing services, I put exactly what I put here in providing services. This will give you some good analytics on what's going on with you and your profile. Then I really moved down here into the featured section. So I launched a new corporate YouTube channel today. So I'm driving the content, and so I put 5 videos. These are my 5 core videos that I launched the new YouTube channel with. And so that's why I'm featuring these items now. This is an area where you're always going to want to update, add something new. Hey, if you're not a content creator like me, just find a really cool recent article, something that you really love. That should go in the featured section. The featured section isn't something that you should be updating all the time, but maybe once a month, once a quarter. It's really up to you and how active you are on LinkedIn. Then activity. This is a big one. If you really want to get attention on your LinkedIn profile, there's a few good ways to do it. Now, one is you absolutely want to be posting content that does not have to be original content. That can be a cool article or video that's in your space. That's one way to do it. Secondarily, just you can look up what people are putting out there, like what they're doing, and then lastly, start to comment on other people's activity. That will make it show up in your feed and your activity. It will get more visibility on your profile. The activity section is probably one of the biggest missed opportunities to grow your network and get visibility onto your profile. So it's something I strongly recommend. Then the about section. So there's lots of different approaches here, but what I want to talk about is the most critical. The first 4 lines. Because after the first 4 lines, if you have more than that amount of content, there's going to be a see more button that people can click. I don't think that a lot of people click on that button. So what I've done is I've just written content for the first 4 lines to drive people to the corporate part of my website, the individual part of my website, and my 2 YouTube channels, so that you can get everything I believe is critical for you to see and need in those 4 lines. So even if you are going to bolster your about section, it's just so important that in the first 4 lines, you're telling a really good story to your audience. So the experience section, also a huge missing piece of the puzzle. What is the most critical part here? The most critical part is that you're copying and pasting your resume bullets into your LinkedIn profile. Why? You don't always want to have to do everything proactively. You want your LinkedIn profile to work for you. If you do not have keywords in your LinkedIn profile, it's the biggest mistake you can make. Your LinkedIn profile's not very useful if you don't have all your experience in there. Again, I had a recruiting position and I was recruiting salespeople, finance and accounting. And then about 6 months into that job, I started recruiting software engineers. It was the first thing I added to my profile. I would not have gotten a call from Google if I didn't have software engineers on my profile. I can guarantee it. And that's how I got that job. The criticality of keywords, it's so important. That's the only way that recruiters and hiring managers are looking at LinkedIn. They're doing keyword searches. So it's so important that you put your experience in here. And, for me, I've kept it very, very simple to just kind of say what I'm doing with the business. Then there's this media section. So again, I'm trying to drive towards some of the corporate videos that I just launched today. So I've put those there. And this should constantly be changing. You can always change out the media. It doesn't just have to be videos. It can be articles. It can be original content that you build on LinkedIn. They will push original content that you push through their platform more. They'll highlight it more. But these are obviously all YouTube videos. And I've kind of taken that theme, right? So you can see I have my current role. I'm also ongoing as a content creator, so I wanted to put that in there. I drove a lot of content here. I've kept it limited to 6, so you could see all these. If you go over 6, it won't go over 6 on this front page, but you can see I've driven towards a lot of this content. And then obviously if you click show more experiences, it will go into more experience. I don't love that feature, but take the time to update this. And remember, LinkedIn is like your constant work in progress. I mean, before this video, I had to go back. I noticed a couple errors. I spend all my time on LinkedIn, and there's still things that you're constantly going to want to fix and update. So just think about it as this constantly evolving item that you just want to continue to improve on. So you don't have to do all this stuff right away, but it's just critical to get started right now, because you really want, again, the opportunity to be proactive, but also have people reaching out while you're sleeping or not on LinkedIn. With the education, just make sure if you have education, it's in there. If you did not complete your degree, you need to note that. Otherwise, it's a little bit of false representation. Then this is where it gets leaner. People probably aren't going to go into these bottom sections very much. But if you have any licenses or certifications, you have any volunteer work, you want to add skills, you want to add any recommendations, I strongly recommend giving people recommendations. These are some other areas where you can really bolster your profile. But let's scroll back up to the top. You really want to focus in on this top section, because if this top section looks good, people are going to continue on. And then again, if we were only to focus in on one other item, it's really bolstering your experience and making sure that this is filled out, the criticality of this item. I cannot tell you how many times I'll land on somebody's profile and I'll think, oh, if I only knew what they did, I might be able to help them. I might be able to support them. I remember back in the day when I was recruiting, if people didn't have that information in their profile, I would just move on. And honestly, I usually wouldn't even land on it because I would do a lot of Boolean searches. I know that watching this LinkedIn content is not the most exciting thing in the world, but I can guarantee you will have more job opportunities if you spend the effort and time on this platform. Good luck.